Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So yes, this video is 4 months late, but you know, better late than never. And I really wanted to film this video because throughout the year last year, I had been making this list in my head. So after every book I read, I was like, is this my favorite? Is this going to be one of my favorites? So that is why we are here today, even though it's incredibly late, like I already said. But again, I'll have a whole video about where I've been posted before this, so go watch that if you're confused as to why this is coming so late. But anyway, today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite books of 2019. Now, I'm actually going to be talking about 15, but the 5 that are not a part of the 10 are just honorable mentions, so I'll briefly be talking about them. Nothing really in depth like the other ones. So how this video is going to work is I have all 15 books here. I'm going to be talking about the first 7 of them. So I have them in an order where the first 7 I'm going to be talking about goes from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Yes. So I'm going to go down that line because my favorites are going to be, this is so hard to explain. My favorites, I'm going to have them in a certain particular order where like that is one of my favorite books. So that does not make any sense. This is the second time filming this clip. I got it fine the first time. Anyway, number 10 is going to be like my least favorite book of all my favorites, but it's still like my favorite book, like one of my favorite books because it's on this list. So it's just, most of these books were tied like a lot. So anyway, I'm going to go down that line. When I get to number 4, that's going to be the last book I talk about, and then I'm going to go to honorable mentions, and I'm going to zoom through those, and then we'll get to my top 3. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Okay, so first book I'm going to be talking about is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. I loved this book so much. It was so colorful and whimsical, and I blew through this. I actually have a reading vlog where I read this book, and actually some other ones on here too, and I love this book. I'm so glad I read it, and it just reminded me of being someplace magical and happy, and I loved every second of it. This book is about a girl named Alice who is like colorless, and like people have these powers, like if you have more color you have more power. I don't know. It's been a while since I read this. I don't know. There's something like that where there's powers and you display your powers and stuff. So she is absolutely colorless and she doesn't really have a technical power. So one day her father goes missing, and this basically follows her as she and another boy go on a quest to Furthermore to find him. And again, it's such an amazing book. I highly recommend. Number 9 on my list is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I was reading this while I was reading Furthermore, and again, you'll hear like my thoughts in that reading vlog if you watch it. I mean, if you want to spend 40 minutes watching me, that's up to you, but you don't have to. I just loved how easy this book was to get through and to fly through, and I loved everything that happened in it. It's been a while since I've read this, so I'm just going to be saying a lot of I love this book for no specific reason really, because it's been such a long time. I'm like really bad with remembering books. Okay, so I'm going to cut out what I just said because I think that was a spoiler. So anyway, it's about Mi Young, who meets this boy named Jihoon. It's spelled Jihoon. I wish I could pronounce names properly, but that's probably not the case here. Anyway, they meet one day in the forest, and she shows that she is a gumiho, a 9-tailed fox, and she's not supposed to show anybody, so that's not good. And so it's just kind of like them bumping heads and stuff, and it's a romance obviously, but it's nice. Trust me, there will be more to say when I get to the top 3, I promise. Number 8 is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did. I know everybody said they loved it and it was so good, and I had my doubts. I did not think I was going to like this because it's an adult book, and I'm not crazy on adult books. There's nothing wrong with them, it's just they're just not my favorite. And I wasn't really crazy about the summary, but everybody said this book was like fantastic. So I picked it up. I think I only got it for like $3 or $5, around that range, at this like bargain bookstore thingamabob. So I got this for real cheap, and I read it during one of the readathons I did last summer. So again, I have a vlog on this when I read it and how much I loved it. I remember more about this than the other two. So it's about this woman named Evelyn Hugo, and she is like in her old days now after being like this really big movie star a long time ago, and she wants this reporter to like write out her story. So it's basically following her life story and like told in the past and the present being like the reporter like writing down writing down stuff that Evelyn says and just like interacting with her, and then the other part is the past of Evelyn Hugo's. I love this so much. I flew through it. I think, if I remember correctly, I only read it in like a day. Like within 24 hours I read this thing. I mean, it's not that big, but still, there you go. I like painting the pages of my favorite books, so you'll see a lot of them painted. I also have a video on how I paint my book's pages if you were curious. Anyway, I love this so much. I 10 out of 10 recommend this to anybody. Like, you don't have to like adult to love this book, because I don't like adult that much, but still I think this dealt with a lot of important topics and it was very, very well executed. Next we have Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. Yes, I finally read this after putting on a TBR maybe 2018. I got to it last year in 2019 and I loved it so much more happened in this book than in Strange the Dreamer. Like, things I never would have imagined happened in this book, and it was crazy. The first book is Strange the Dreamer, if you haven't heard about it, and it's about this boy or guy. I guess he's kind of older, but I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, this person named Laszlo has always dreamed of a city called Weep, so one day an opportunity presents itself and he goes there, and things are not as they seem, and that's what I'm going to leave it at, because I feel like if you've heard the summary about this, you know you should not go into it with a lot of knowledge, because I have no words. Some crazy things happen and it's just a wild ride. Yes, I really did enjoy this book and recommend if you also like Strange the Dreamer, because this is a very good conclusion to the duology. Next, I read Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Oh my goodness, I love this book so much. I also read this during a readathon. I guess there's a theme going around that readathon books are pretty good. I read this during the reading rush, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was the reading rush. And I flew through this. I was addicted. I have a new book boyfriend named Etienne. He's freaking adorable. I loved him and I could not put this book down. So my camera cut me off for whatever reason. I have no clue why. But anyway, I was talking about Anna and the French Kiss, which is right here. I'm just gonna say like a quick summary again because I have no clue what cut out or not. So anyway, it's about this girl who goes to France and she meets this boy there and things happen. So pretty much like any romantic book, a girl meets a guy and they fall in love. So yeah, that's pretty much what this is. The next two books are actually two series that I have to talk about. I could not pick which one I liked more, like in this spot, so they're pretty much equally tied, and I have one more book pairing thing like that. So what I'm trying to say is these two series, even though they're supposed to be books, I could not pick which one I like the best. So they could be flipped out either way. I just love them so much. It was so hard to pick which spot they got. So let's get to that. The first series is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I love this series so much. It is amazing. I could not stop reading these books. If I had to pick, and like, I mean like, if somebody was holding a gun to my head and told me to pick one, which was my favorite, I probably would say Hunting Prince Dracula, but seeing as nobody's pointing a gun at my head, I have to say all of them are my favorite, except, well, they are all my favorite, but like my least favorite of the four is definitely Escaping from Houdini. The rest are pretty much tied, so, you know, might as well just mention all of them. So Stalking Jack the Ripper is about this girl named Audrey Rose, who is like really into forensics and like digging blades into cadavers, like sciencey blades and stuff, nothing like stab. Anyway, she meets this boy named Thomas Cresswell, and together they try to figure out who Jack the Ripper is, because that is like what's really going on. That Stalking Jack the Ripper is about stalking Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper is in London and he is causing some mischief, so they gotta go stop him. I just love the chemistry between these two, and Thomas Cresswell, another new book boyfriend. I love him with my whole soul. He is amazing. He's just perfect, and I wish I had my own Thomas Cresswell, or he'd come out, because I'd be happy with either. And then the next books are the Rebel of the Sands trilogy. I picked Rebel of the Sands up, when did I do that? I don't know. I think I was just visiting the bookstore for whatever reason, and this really caught my eye. And I'd heard of it before, but I was like, you know, maybe. So I picked this up. I blew through this so fast I could not put it down, and so I could not wait to read the rest. I think I got this for Easter last year, actually. Man, it's been a long time. Because I could not, like, wait for this, and I didn't have any money on me, so I couldn't buy it. So I had to wait for Easter to get this, but I'm so happy I got it, because out of these three, I think Traitor to the Throne is, again, my favorite of the trilogy, but still, nobody's putting a gun at my head. I am safe, so I can safely say they are all my favorite. I'm going to have to do a reread of these because I, like, do not remember anything. Except that I think Jin, the main guy in here, was also another book boyfriend. I'm really loading up on them recently. Anyway, I just love this trilogy so much. Not enough people talk about it. I have not heard about these books in ages. And I only heard about the first one, like, years ago, so come on, people, start talking about some of my favorite books. I love these books so much. I didn't say a summary for them because I, like, really don't remember anything. I mean, I remember that there's a girl and she's like this sharpshooter and some police are chasing her. Yeah. I suggest if you really want to know what these books are about, go look them up on Amazon or Goodreads because my summaries are terrible. Okay, now we are at the honorable mentions. I'm just gonna zip through them, like, I'm just gonna say I love them for each one pretty much, and yeah, we'll be on our way to the top three, which I've been really waiting for this entire year. I mean, I've had these not, like, locked in for ages, so. The first one is East by Edith Patel. This is sort of like a fairy tale, like a modern day fairy tale, but it's not in our modern times. I don't know. It's like a story, like a fairy tale story, not like 3 pages long, and I loved it so much. Like, I wasn't really expecting it to be this way. I thought it was gonna be like more like a YA novel, but it read more like a fairy tale, and I loved it. Like, I wasn't expecting to love it this much, but I did, and this cover is beautiful. I love it. I can't wait to read the rest. Okay, that took a little too long, so gotta keep moving. The next one is The Land of Stories, A Grim Warning by Chris Colfer. I read the second one last year, and this one like really got me back into a fairy tale mood. Hey, fairy tales. Anyway, I blew through this. Like, I don't think a ton happened in this, but it was so engaging that I couldn't stop reading, and it made me like really love the series. Next there's Woodleaf by Crystal Smith. I don't remember reading this. I just remember I had loved it and I knew I wanted to put it on this list, so here it is. It's an honorable mention because I can't really remember what happened, but again, I read this during one of the readathons in the summer, so go like look for one of those videos and you're probably gonna see this there. I know it's about witches, I think. I don't remember. Next is Reborn by Claire Legrand. It's about these two girls who are like separated by the centuries or thousands of years, something like a really big time gap between their two storylines, but you'll see how they like connect and interweave, and it's cool and it's good and it's fast and I loved it, so yeah. And then the last of the honorable mentions is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I loved this book so much. It was amazing. I did not expect to love it this much because I'm not a huge sci-fi fan, but after reading it I was like, whoa, that's so good. Maybe more sci-fis are like this. And I really read it for the characters because, oh my gosh, those characters. I have this one ship in here. Again, I read this during a readathon, so I'll have more thoughts on those, so yeah. But that's why I read this. It was for a readathon. I think this was the group book, so I got it and I loved it and I'm glad I did. I think this was for the biannual bibliothon readathon actually, so there you go. Okay, now we're to my top 3. These have been set in stone since like August of last year when I read like my #1 book, so it's gonna be fun. And you remember how I said like Arrival of the Sands and Sawing Jack the Ripper were like irreversible? Is that what it means? I don't know. They could go hand in hand. Well, it's the same for #2 and #3 except for like one reason, and I will get to that like right now. So my third favorite book of 2019 is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I loved this book so much. I was so lucky. I got the ARC at BookCon last year and I flew through it. I loved it. The only reason why it's in #3 and not #2 is because in the beginning I could not get into it. For whatever reason, I was not having it with this book. I was like, maybe I should just DNF it or like put it off until later. I'm so glad I didn't, because as soon as I got into the story, I was hooked. I was sucked in. I could not stop reading this amazing book. It's about a witch and a witch hunter who are pretty much forced into marriage, and it's amazing, so you should definitely read it. I mean, there are mixed reviews on it, but I was one of the ones who like absolutely loved it. So if your tastes are like mine, you're probably gonna like this a lot. I fell head over heels for this book. I loved it so much. The reason why this came before Serpent and Dove, because when I started reading it, I was instantly hooked. Unlike Serpent and Dove, I had to like push through a little bit. But anyway, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's so much more than that. I have read Beauty and the Beast retellings before, and one of them I was not thrilled with, so I haven't like really gravitated toward the retellings anymore, so I was like very hesitant about picking this up, but I've heard like amazing things about it. And I was so glad I picked it up because it's like the second favorite book of 2019 and I loved it. It's definitely a new favorite. Again, I painted this blue metallic. It's so pretty. I love it. And you can see A Heart So Fierce and Broken is back here, and well, you're gonna have to wait for next year's video, but there's a little spoiler, it's gonna be on my favorites list. I just don't know which one yet. And now, my favorite book of 2019 is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I adored this book so much. This is like the perfect book. Like, it's the perfect book. It's about a girl who loves to read and who loves books, and she watches over them, and there's magic and there's a demon cat, and I love it. It's so good. I I can't help smiling. This cover is beautiful, and then I painted the pages with glitter. I don't know. I don't think that was the best idea since it's like kind of coming all over the place, but I loved this book so much. I think I knew it was going to be my favorite before I even read it, but I really want to reread this again, especially during the time we're in right now, so probably going to be rereading this soon, and I cannot wait because I love everything about this. So that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!